Welcome back to Mythic Plus. Today we are going to be doing a 10 Pit of Saron. This is going to be a pretty good run that I did just on the Demon Hunter when I was still just kind of experimenting when I was in Pit of Saron jail. Lots of haste crit pieces, so if you need a lot of haste crit pieces, this is going to be the place that you are going to be. We're going to go ahead and do a pretty decent route here. I think I do actually mess up the trash a little bit. We go like a couple % over, but that is a-okay. I would always recommend doing like the first pull here with Lust. So we'll go ahead and grab the two enforcers on the side, and then we actually back up. I back up in kind of a weird way here, and I think we end up pulling some extra, but I get another Tormentor and another guy over there. Shaman sees it, he pops the Lust, and we'll go ahead and just blow pretty much everything here. Offensive meta, Soul Bomb. We're going to go ahead and keep Pain Spikes going, rocking and rolling here, and then Fracture on cooldown as usual. Go ahead and pop the Immo Aura, use my meta proc whenever that is up. And I'm actually trying to hold on to it because the pull is pretty much dead. And we actually do aggro these extra guys in the corner. And I was like, well, we still have a little bit of Lust left, so we'll just go ahead and cleave these guys down. Won't try and chain them into anything else just because I want to minimize movement. Make sure that if the Shaman has like Earthquake or anything like that, we can make sure to get maximum damage on these guys. And unfortunately, they do live a little bit longer just because no one's got any cooldowns rolling, but that is okay. So that first pull goes pretty well. We're going to go over here. We're going to grab the two enforcers down there because they're not going to do a whole lot. Don't need to really worry about them. Go ahead and kick this caster to make sure everything gathers up towards this corner, and we're going to get onto this first quarry camp and make sure we can liberate these guys. This pull does actually hit pretty hard, or it was hitting me pretty hard when I did this on a 12. The enforcers really do stack up. So if you are a little nervous, you can always have like a defensive cooldown. I actually pop meta here just to, kill the pull faster, because meta does give you the meteor shower afterwards on your next soul fracture, that sort of thing, or soul bomb. So I just pop it there just to do a little bit more damage. Our group does do a ton of damage in this key though, so we are killing things no problem at all. And I do want to make sure that this Mindless Laborer goes down before I actually move on. I want people to be able to get the quarry camp liberated too. Make sure everything dies. And I do actually go for a little bit of a bigger pull here. I go ahead and pull that Dread Wraith with the Silence as well. Gather everything over here. And then I kind of regret everything because I didn't actually have meta. But I was actually in call with my Rogue here, and he said that he had cooldowns. He had good damage for this pull. So I do just pop Darkness just to help out, help myself live a little bit as I'm waiting for some cooldowns to come back. And this pull kind of just evaporates too. So sometimes you could probably do that in like 2 pulls, do like the Dread Pulse Lich and a couple other things, and then get over to the quarry camp in the corner over there. But it really, in this case, especially on like a 10, even at like, mid 650 item or 250 item level, something like that, should be more than fine, especially if you're playing this Demon Hunter spec, because you will be significantly more durable in AoE situations. So when you are just doing a ton of damage in an AoE setting, that's what you want to do. We'll go ahead and pull everything here, go over, kick that mob, bring him back here, make sure the Void Emissary is going to die, have my Rogue kick the Nether Burst here, and we actually don't get the Voidbound Emissary buff here, so this is going to be a little bit awkward, but only a 1% damage reduction for the mobs there, so not going to be too big of a deal. The one thing that I will mention in this dungeon, something that's going to be a theme here, is that these Grave Blades are going to be super, super, super dangerous. So they are going to use Dark Rupture, very, very easy, but this Frostbane Slash will leave a debuff on you that increases your frost damage taken. If you have 2 Grave Blades in a pull, which does happen a little bit later, that second Slash is going to hit you like an absolute freight train. So definitely watch out for that. Make sure that when these Grave Blades are up, you are keeping in mind that they are going to hit you pretty hard. I get the call out that people do have cooldowns a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the Geist, the Ghouls, everything like that, run over into this corner, and pretty much get bricked instantaneously. So I go ahead and try and stabilize a little bit, get my Immo Aura going, and just start soul cleaving a little bit there just to make sure that I'm stabilizing. And at this point, I also should have just used Chaos Nova 2 to buy myself a little bit of time. That would have given me a little bit more durability, just a second to breathe while I go ahead and stabilize, but pull still goes down pretty easily. You do also have to be careful that these Geists will just jump around and kind of hit random things. And then I like to go over here and grab all these elites with the RP and go ahead and pull them over into this Dreadpulse Lich, because those Geists and the Ghouls don't do a whole lot apart from like a little bit of jump around damage. And you don't want to do this Dreadpulse Lich just with a 3-pack pull. We want to be a little bit more efficient than that, so we can get all this together. And as you can see, damage isn't too crazy. Not a whole lot of people dying here. Pop any stuns, you know, if you have other things to CC the Geist while the Lich is doing his big cast, also super, super helpful. And I did forget to mention, but I will be putting my talents in the description below. So if you want to copy and paste that, import that into your game, I'm more than happy to provide that for you. This build is fantastic. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's going to feel fantastic. If you haven't tried this yet, if you've been playing Eldrazi Reaver or something like that, I don't know who's playing Eldrazi Reaver this season, but this will feel so much better. You might even be a little bit confused why you're living, why you're doing so much damage, and that's how I felt as soon as I started playing it, and it's a good feeling to have. So I do see this Shadebringer over here, so we're going to jump over here and kick him. Go ahead and use Immo Aura, generate a bunch of soul fragments, make sure we soul bomb on cooldown, and then we're just going to get all these random meteor procs that are just going to do a ton of damage, and we can do everything here. Since Lust is still on cooldown and we're not in a huge rush to get to Forge Master, I'm going to go ahead and grab this Necrolite, and we will just do this Quarry Tormentor, the Dreadpulse Lich, jump over here, kick that guy, do a little PvP, just jumping over and kicking people. You don't want to backtrack too much, but we do have some damage for this pack. We know we can live this. Healer's got, you know, full mana. There's really no reason not to do this. It's really just about cooldowns, but if you're in a random group, kind of do it in any order because you're not really worried about Lust or Lust timing or anything like that. You're not on too strict of a schedule. We'll go ahead and take out this Dreadpulse Lich here, and we're already at 66% count. We got all of our quarry camps liberated. I think we do actually miss one at the beginning, which I notice here, and I pull it up here. So I'm like, okay, we're going to need to send someone to go get that after this boss. This boss actually is going to be pretty tank focused. I know a lot of people are just like, this boss is super easy, and yes, he is pretty easy as long as you do him correctly. So what I'm doing here is just looking at the position of these Saronite things. I see the one in the middle that's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver around, and I want to make sure that this pool is as close to the outer edge as I can. So we're going to go ahead and stand next to the Saronite piece, make sure that I get mollywopped by him, and then we're going to pull the boss so his hitbox is right around the back end of this. The reason we're doing this is so that we can be on either side of this Saronite where the forges are, and either way, if we were to stand on one side or the other, we're still able to hit the boss and keep melee uptime. Super important, especially because we have a rogue and a warrior here. I should have moved the boss maybe a little bit more here because I don't want all of these Saronite pieces all on top of each other, but the warrior does a good job of actually dropping one kind of where other pools already are, so I can go ahead and stand on this one in the middle, overlap some of the puddles that we're going to get. He's going to use Ore Shatter on me. We're going to break that one, and then we're going to bring the boss over to the back of this current one over here. We're going to make sure that his full hitbox is on the back of it, and as you can see, everyone can just step behind this, and we're still able to hit the boss while he's using his Glacial Overload. This is like, you know, maybe 4 or 5 seconds of just free damage. Cryo Stomp, then we're going to have to move. So very, very easy. The priest does get actually bricked by one of those. And I do try and type need the guys at the beginning. I don't know what I was doing there. My whole I started typing and then I needed to move, and it was just like not good. So we actually do get the priest back. I think he gets B-resed by the rogue. I think the rogue has jumper cables, and I do want to make sure that I don't get stunned here, overcommit to the boss. So I go ahead and jump over, break that Saronite, and the boss goes down. We do get an awkward Void Emissary, so we'll need to make sure that this thing dies before we move on. And then I go ahead and I send the rogue to go back to the beginning just to go ahead and get that guy over there. And then I start pinging myself because we're not typing this in chat. Everyone else, rogue is already going. Everyone else get on me. We're going to go ahead and make sure we keep making progress while the rogue does it. Fun fact, if you are a rogue, you're able to get back to this point in the dungeon without pulling anything. Either way, you can go either side. There's nothing with like true sight or anything like that on the other side of the dungeon. So if you have everything cleared up to this point, rogue can go the other way as well. And then we'll go ahead and we'll just do this pull while we're waiting for him to come back. I'm not going to pull too crazy or anything like that just because, you know, we don't need to. But everything still melts here. The Shaman and the Warrior are absolutely cranking. We just have this Graveblade left, and I'm just thinking about where I want to go as far as the next pull. I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of these Mindless Laborers just to kind of pad and just to get a little bit of extra funnel damage. I'm not sure who actually benefits from funnel damage, but we are going to be having it, so that's great. Go ahead and just do this pull. Nothing too crazy about this one. You just want to make sure you kick the one Arcanist Cadaver, it looks like. I think he does like one cast that you really need to make sure it gets interrupted. Doesn't happen very often. One kick and you should be more than okay. And then obviously be careful of the Graveblades, because they will do that little bit of burst damage too that you don't want to get bricked by. And then once you kill the Necrolite, all the little skeletons will just tip over. Finish up the pull, get the Torii Tormentors, and you are all good. We got our last camp liberated, so as soon as the boss dies, we can go ahead and get right into the RP. We'll go ahead and do this last double pull here. And these pulls are immensely easy. Just the one kick on the Cold Wraith, and then we got the Ghouls and the Geist. Nothing too crazy. The other thing I would urge you not to do in this sort of area is doing the Gargoyles with a Drake. One of those Drake Rider homies. You definitely don't want to do those together, because the Gargoyles can just pick people up, the Drake will breathe on them, and there's not a whole lot that they can do. The other thing you can do if a Gargoyle picks you up, just use anything that removes movement impairing effects. You can freedom it, you can shapeshift out of it as well if you're a Druid, so keep that in mind as well. We opt to use Bloodlust on Ick and Crick here, so I want to just use the first part of this Bloodlust to go ahead and take this. Since we have 2 melee, I want to make sure this first Shade is going to die. So I go ahead and wait for the tank debuff to fall off, and then I'm going to let the Warrior go ahead and deal with that one by himself, but I'm going to let the Rogue and everyone else go ahead and just get some good cleave on Ick and Crick by going over to the main one here. So we'll go ahead and get some good cleave during Lust, and then we also get the Voidbound Emissary, which is pretty nice here too, because we have Lust. We'll kill that very quickly, and then we can get a bunch of free cleave as well. So we got that extra versatility buff, little more timing on Lust, and the boss is at about 50% health, you know, a minute or so into the fight. So great job now. We're just absolutely blasting, and then you can just kind of sit here and do damage to the boss, and you get another 5-second cast that you can just free blast here, and then this is just 2 target cleave. Make sure he doesn't, if he fixates you, you run away. He will not focus the tank, it looks like. I don't think he's ever fixated me, so don't quote me on that, but he shouldn't fixate the tank. Should be just nice and easy. As you can see, boss is just dying. This is just the freest damage phase you will ever see in your entire life. Alright, and then when he finally does use his Shade Shift again, I make sure to get a dot off before Ick and Crick are split back up. And then I look for the real one, which I'm actually just right on top of, and the boss is just dead. So, very easy boss. I like to use Lust on it just because it can live for a pretty long time. And then I'll go ahead and pull this Emissary and start dragging it up towards the top of the ridge over here. Into this Cold Wraith, we'll get a kick on that and make sure that the Emissary is going to die, because we will need that verse on these double Graveblades. And I'm sure later in the season this is going to be done with the pull that's kind of next in line. The Graveblades will be, but right now I was a little bit nervous about just getting one tap by the Graveblades if I didn't have like something up. So I was just going to go ahead and do these by themselves. Nothing, don't need to make anything too crazy. Got plenty of time. The only way that we don't have plenty of time is if we rush. And I was also checking to see if those were Fervent Strikes, if they'd home onto you. And as you can see, I do still get Frost Slashed there, or whatever it's called. So even if they want to cast it on you, they are going to cast it on you. And then I go ahead and grab these other ones as the Graveblades are close to dead. Feeling pretty comfortable. Go ahead and use my meta proc. Soul Cleave, get some meteors going on. Get some good damage there. This pull, going to be pretty similar. We got the Geist leaping around, so if you can get into melee, always a good idea. As you can see, some of them are jumping into Narnia. If you have a couple melee people, you definitely want to make sure you're not too far away. Make sure people are able to get the cleave on those Geists there, not have them go out too far. But they do have significantly less health than the Lich, so even if they do jump far, at the very worst case scenario, they are going to die about the same time as the Dreadpulse Lich. So not going to be too big of a deal either way, but just a nice thing to do. Guys can die earlier if you keep them close. Just one Graveblade in this pull too. Nothing to worry about as a tank. As a healer, that Torrent of Misery does hurt quite a bit, so in some situations, I don't know. Sometimes people just live it, but we all have the buff here for the verse, so I think I take this a little bit slower too because I want to get this Cold Wraith dead, but also in higher keys or in keys where you're just trying to go for time, definitely make sure that you do the little mini boss that's up ahead with this pull. This pull goes down very, very easily. Not really worth using any cooldowns on. So if you have this Glacius guy up, go ahead and do him with that just because it'll save you a little bit of time. Usually the mobs will die right as he's about to use his shield. Or after his first cryo burst, so it ends up working out as far as timing. Drop these over to the side and go ahead and move down the hallway. And then we'll get him in a nice little spot where he doesn't have anything on his back, so that when we get this focus guard, we can just stand behind him, make sure we fire a brand, and then all of our abilities will crit here. So that is a very nice thing to do. I love this part because you just see a lot of crits popping up on your screen. It's super nice. Do get a meta proc too, so I'm able to get a little more damage out of there as well with my meteors. And then we get the Voidbound Emissary as well. We'll kill the Emissary here in just a second, and I do try and get like down the hallway just a little bit more, just so that when the RP starts, I can go ahead and trigger that. And we're going into the last boss with about 13 minutes left on the key. The only thing you really need to worry about on this boss is not doing it properly. If you're doing it right, you will know that you're doing it right. If you're doing it wrong, it will be painfully obvious. So we'll go ahead and start this RP here while everyone funnels in. We'll go ahead and pull the boss. And you are going to see these light ups around the room. So I'm taking note that there's 3 on this side of the room, there's 1 on the other one. I see the mark goes on the rogue, so I try and bring the boss over to one of the lit up spots so the rogue can still keep DPSing while being on one of the bone piles there to make sure that we can get that. Always want to make sure if you have one going on a melee that you are standing in there, but you're not getting hit yourself by the AoE that comes afterwards. We actually do lose someone here. We lose, I don't even know who it is, the warrior, just to one of the explosions. Rogue does jumper cables him, so he's able to get back. And again, we're going to be on melee so that the rogue can stand in there, be where he needs to be for the AoE. And then we also get knocked over here to the other, the last lit up pillar. You should be able to get all 4 of these, 4 of the lit up pillars. And then the last one will be the one that you cannot get. So you always have to deal with one of these adds. Dealing with 2 of them on a little bit of a higher key is going to be pretty much death. Pretty much death and destruction. You were just kind of screwed. So we'll go ahead and we'll pop darkness here. Make sure that we live on this plague spreader. Kick everything that he does. He is going to do some pulsing AoE. Does get pretty painful if he's up for too long. And I'm going to meta because I actually fall pretty low there. And I think most of the time when I do this dungeon, Tyrannus is pretty much dead before the second round comes out. So it's just going to be rinse and repeat from this point. Obviously, again, still want to do this where we're positioning ourselves next to the pillars here. I see he goes on a melee. Again, Rogue is able to do damage while the boss is next to him. And then I'll get out of the AoE right as it goes off. And then he knocks me towards the one that I want to go to next. Good way to televise where you're going as well. And that is our 10 Pit of Saron. Very, very easy. Not a difficult key. Drop some great loot. So leave a like on the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.